Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. If you're new here, came over from the Financial Prepper channel, thanks for coming over. Chris Taylor, awesome guy. He's really helped get my channel off the ground, and I really appreciate it, Chris. So thank you very much. Wanted to talk today about the Paycheck Protection Program and how much fraud. You got to think, $6 trillion. There's a lot of motivation for fraud there. So I'll start with a couple things I just pulled off the web, just from a simple search of local news, people that have been prosecuted for frauding the PPP loan program. Let's take a look.
$11 billion through the Paycheck Protection Program.
Tonight, the story of one company that got a loan. That company already on the ropes long before the pandemic hit, and a CEO that wasn't above trying to pull strings with politicians. Here's Tom Lydon of the Fox 9 investigators.
When Chicago-based restaurant Potbelly's returned $10 million in Paycheck Protection Program loans, the company took heat because the PPP loans were designed to help small companies.
Yet there are plenty of questionable small businesses who got the free federal funds too. And when our Jermont Terry started digging into the data, the math just didn't add up. He's live in South Suburban Markham with this exclusive report. Jermont.
Erica and Brad, in my hand is a list of every licensed business here in the city of Markham. You can see it's just a couple of pages long, but I'm going to pick up this stack. It is heavy and several hundred pages thick. These are the names of every business that received a PPP loan of your tax dollars here in the city of Markham.
Called a multi-million-dollar scheme to defraud the feds. A man accused of using money meant for small businesses to buy this mansion in Central Florida, along with other luxury items. He got away with it for a while, but now he's been indicted.
The scheme helped him land millions from the PPP program, and Calvin's in the newsroom with the details.
Well, we've heard the story before. The man is accused of lying about his business, saying it had hundreds of employees with an average monthly payroll of nearly $3 million. But federal investigators say none of that was true.
Yeah, so who would have thought that government handing out checks, people would be dishonest? I love how the government and people in general, I always say, politics comes down to one question. Do you believe people are good or bad? If you believe people are bad, you're going to limit their power. And the opposite is true. If you believe people are good, you'll just keep trying to find the best one for the job. Oh, they weren't the right one. We'll find somebody else. And then you have programs like this where you're like, oh, people won't abuse it. Yeah, they will. History has shown that. And so I'm going to read an article here, or from an article here, that I just find absolutely comical. And then we're going to talk about why I think the federal government turns good people into suckers. So reading it from an article, I'll link in the description from Forbes here. In the midst of the pandemic, the U.S. government gave unemployment benefits to incarcerated people. Oh, goody. The imaginary and the dead. It's just, we've all been to the DMV. Imagine the DMV trying to hand out $5 trillion. That's what was going on here. The dollars in the PPP program came with minimal oversight. The result is one of the largest, probably the largest, frauds in American history, with billions of dollars stolen by thousands of people. Why wouldn't they? Again, why wouldn't they? If the federal government is so stupid that they cannot vet who's who in the zoo and who owns a business and who does not. Again, just so you know, and everyone agrees with this, but they talk, a lot of people in the media and people in general are like, well, we had to do it because of the lockdowns. Did we have to lock down, you dummy? The government caused the lockdown. And again, I always ask people, if you would have known the consequences of the lockdown, would you have taken it? Because all the government did was put a Band-Aid over it and made the pain worse down the road. But they sold it as there is no pain, right? We're just going to paper over it. We're going to print money. We're going to give people unemployment, and it'll be fine. And your average citizen's like, oh, okay, I'll just stay home and play video games, and I guess we'll just turn the economy back on when COVID's over. Doesn't work that way, as we all know, okay? So far, the federal government has charged 1,500 people. Officials already, so here's the problem, concede that the sheer number of cases means small dollar thefts will probably never be prosecuted because they went through $5 trillion in PPP loans and unemployment. Because it takes, as they said, it takes mere minutes to do fraud or to commit fraud, but it takes, months potentially to prosecute somebody. Jeez. And I love this line from the Forbes magazine. The federal government provided $5 trillion in relief money in 3 separate legislative packages, an enormous sum that is credited with reducing poverty. Of course it reduces poverty. For a couple months, and then inflation comes up, right? And saving the country from prolonged, painful recession. Jury's out on that one, right? It for sure delayed a recession, but it did not. It didn't save us from one. We're going to have an epic one here coming up. And all it did was delay it and make it more epic. Again, government is a used car salesman. They'll tell you all the benefits, none of the costs. Here's some gold nuggets here. For example, the expanded unemployment benefits gave workers an extra $600 per week in federal jobless funds. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. On top of what they received from their state. The program was funded by the federal government but administered by states. So each state had their own vetting process, and they weren't really good at it. And they often had loose qualifications. Applicants did not need to provide proof they had lost income from COVID-19. They simply had to swear it was true. So the Paycheck Protection Program, the $5 trillion that went out for unemployment, was basically run with pinky swears. You know, people come up to the federal government and they go, "You don't have a job, right? You lost your job?" Yeah. Swear? Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's funny that it's just stupid. But it's also really, really sad because it's going to cost this country so much in future prosperity because we spent money that our grandkids were supposed to spend doing this. And this is one of the grossest examples. In some cases, the program missed schemes that were comically easy to spot. You don't say. Like what, you may ask? In one instance, 29 states paid unemployment benefits to the same person. I love it. In another, a postal service employee got $82,900 loan for a business called U.S. Postal Service. Another individual got 10 loans for 10 non-existent bathroom renovation businesses. It was too easy. It was too easy. And me, I'm in the military, and we were getting these stimulus checks, and I'm thinking, great, fine, I'll take it. Who's not going to take free money? But what is the goal here? The goal is to help people, and if we're helping people who aren't being paid, and people in the military are getting their check from the federal government and they're getting paid, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But my original point, the federal government turns honest people into suckers. You ever been in a class where the teacher says, hey, it's like a test you take on your own. It's an online class or something, but it's not open book. Don't open the book, okay? All right, you can have the book right next to you, but don't open it. And you could be an honest person and not open your book. But majority of people are opening their book and cheating, right? To get an A on that test. And let's say you're honest. And you don't open the book. You do a lot of studying and you get a B. Everybody else does no studying, gets an A. And they get the attaboys and accolades. The same thing happens in our economy. Because if you are an honest actor, if you're a person who saves money, who doesn't operate on credit, who doesn't use paycheck protection programs, who is constantly trying to provide better products and services to your customers, there are other businesses that can lean on the federal government and get bailed out, especially big businesses. Think of airlines. They can run such tight margins. They can take more risks with their money, buying more airplanes, going further out on the risk curve. Same thing with banks, because they know if the S hits the F, the federal government's going to come and bail them out. And if there's another airline or another bank who is being fiscally responsible and trying not to take undue risks, the other bank and the other airline company who are taking these risks is going to outcompete them during the bull market. They're going to outcompete them during the bull market. They wouldn't survive, these people that are taking the risk, they wouldn't survive in a bear market if it wasn't for the federal government. But now that credible threat, if you will, the credible idea that the federal government's going to bail you out, all these businesses become suckers if they don't take it, because all their competition is taking it. Same thing with the PPP program. So we've created this incentive of bad business practices, relying on printing and the federal government, because you are the dummy. You're the one guy in the room who knows it's an open book test but won't look at the book, right? It's really, really dumb. And this all comes, these distorted incentives don't happen in a free market. It's impossible unless the federal government comes in with the printer. It can only last a certain amount of time. So let me know what you think of this colossal failure known as the PPP program. And I don't think we've seen the damage yet, but the full damage. And we'll be investigating it for years, but which costs more federal dollars, by the way. It's just, you can't make it up. These people are inept. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks to all the new subscribers. See you guys in the next one. Peace.